Hi, everybody. Joe Cioffi here. Weather in 5 days and 5 minutes. Coming up tonight on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. Great weather across the east, stormy weather across the west, changes in the weather pattern coming next week, and uh, much more. That's tonight on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast at 7:35 p.m. And tomorrow night, we are going to have special guest Lee Goldberg, meteorologist from WABC TV in New York. So mark both those days down. Lee's coming tomorrow. Meantime, let's take a look at the gorgeous weather that we have in the eastern part of the United States, and we can thank a wrapped up storm that's well off the South Carolina coast that's not really going anywhere fast. And on the other side of this, it's actually off the map on the analysis, but east of Newfoundland is also a big storm that dumped record snowfall amounts across parts of Nova Scotia, several feet or more in some places. Well, that's not going anywhere fast either. So high pressure that's in Quebec province is nosed all the way down into the Ohio Valley, and drier air and somewhat chilly air actually has been funneled down the eastern seaboard. I wouldn't call this cold. Temperatures are actually running a little bit above average, but nothing really crazy from eastern Pennsylvania to southern New England, and that dry air has made it all the way down into the southeast. And you can see on the satellite, pretty much from Maine all the way to Florida, it's just gorgeous, all back through the Gulf states, the Ohio Valley. There was a little bit of leftover clouds swinging around parts of the Ohio Valley, Indiana, and Illinois. That's all disappeared now for the most part. And of course, we continue to see a lot of action in the west. We've got this powerful storm that came in a couple of days ago. A lot of that moisture is now translating into the Rockies, and we still have this subtropical feed of heavy rain that is coming into Southern California. They've had record rainfall amounts. All sorts of monthly records have been broken in some places. Even more impressive records have gone by the book as far as rainfall is concerned. We've got flash flood warnings up this afternoon on the radar. You see them in the green boxes. And now rain, and in colder areas to the north in Arizona, we're seeing snow. And that is also spreading up through parts of the Rockies. And meanwhile, in the east, radars are nice and quiet. Now, precipitation over the next 7 days, we're looking at uh, this is through next Tuesday night, so we'll probably have a system to deal with early next week. Looking at the northern edge of a half an inch from just south of Boston to just south of New York City into southeastern Pennsylvania, Maryland, and northern Virginia. The heavier precip of 3/4 of an inch to an inch and a half across the Gulf states and into the southern Appalachians. Now, some of the newer guidance would suggest that this is actually too far to the north and everything might get suppressed a little further south. We'll see. And in the southwest, we're still having areas of several inches of liquid precip or more. And of course, in the colder mountains, we're talking snow here, especially in northern Arizona and on up into Utah, and also in the Sierra Nevadas in California. Here's the WPC snowfall prediction here for the next 72 hours. This is the probability for at least 2 inches, and we're going to uh, show you some higher amounts shortly. But you see where the extent of this covers a very large part of the western half of the United States, mainly from the northern plains westward and from the Rockies westward to the west coast. And if we put the probability of at least 8 inches on, we've got a number of areas that are showing probabilities of 50% or higher in parts of Idaho, Wyoming, also into parts of western Colorado, Utah, northern Arizona, of course, the Sierra Nevadas, and even parts of the Cascades getting in on the action with this. And in the east, it's quiet, nothing in terms of snow or rain for that matter over the next 72 hours. Now, we are going to see this pattern, this omega block pattern that we are in now. Having just some trouble speaking today. Anyway, that omega block is going to break down. It's going to take a couple of days for it to break down. So while that happens, the weather in the east remains nice through Thursday. And I think even into Friday and Saturday, it won't be too bad. We'll have a weather front that'll be going by. Uh, Temperatures by Friday, many areas will be in the 50s. On Saturday, we could see temperatures well up into the 50s and low 60s. Now we've got more energy coming into the west, and I'm showing you the new European, which has a northern part of the jet stream and the southern part of the jet stream being completely separate, which means that cold air comes in early next week into the northeast and Great Lakes and just basically overwhelms everything, and any southern system winds up passing well to the south and east. That remains to be seen whether that is the reality of this particular situation. But some of the other models are kind of on the same page with this. So unless there's some sort of phasing with the north, it doesn't look like there's going to be, at least from this standpoint. We may be dry for quite a while. Certainly dry for the rest of this week. You see the action in the west. The California low that came in 2 days ago heads up into Minnesota and Canada. We get a weak cold front that comes through here sometime Friday night or early on Saturday. Doesn't have too much with it. Saturday night into Sunday, there'll be a secondary front that goes by with maybe a couple of showers with that. Then as we move into next week, it turns gradually colder. Nothing crazy cold, just back down, I think, close to average. And here comes that southern system moving pretty much across the south. The GFS wants to at least bring rain close to southern New Jersey, Maryland, and Virginia before it moves it on out to the east. The European is much further south. And then after that, it's colder but dry for the second half of next week. So if you're looking for a big storm, at least from what we see right now, doesn't look like the chances for that are all that high, or for that matter, the chances even of a weak weather system producing some winter precipitation don't look all that high at this stage of the game. But you never know what happens between now and tonight. We might see some new models that change our minds a bit. But if not, well, we'll still be there tonight at 7:35 p.m. Eastern Time on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. We will see you tonight.